So here, this world as it is offered to us, cloud, trees, stones, it is a miracle that is in front of us. And if we just step back, that is, just come into that higher perspective, then you are seeing this moment. It can be human beings, and it can be birds, it can be nothing. But you are seeing that moment as a gift and as a miracle, and with the wonder, even for a few seconds or minutes, that creates in you some, that higher energy that lasts, even though you may not be having that attention for the whole hour. You come into that space for 1 minute. It keeps you going for the rest of the hour. This attitude becomes easy. One step for this is to see the perspective of a guest. Guest always is not trapped in a place. Guest is having freedom. Guest experiences freedom. Guest knows the reality beyond. That's why guest has a different perspective. He enjoys more. He is not worried about the living, at least. Whereas others have got some other concerns of losing and missing, that they are into other mind.
I remember when I was quite new doing meditation, and it was, as Prashant said, it was probably 4 or 5 minutes in the morning, and I would never have thought that would have such a positive effect on the day, because it was like you touched the ground of feeling peaceful and secure inside, like something stable, and that kind of creates confidence, I think, emotionally. There's that place to come back to, psychologically as well. And I was teaching teenagers at the time, and it was just a busy, hectic day, normal teacher's day. But I remember I was actually approaching each situation totally differently. I noticed it because I was quite new, but now, like after a while, it just becomes more normal, more natural. But it was so wonderful to see how I was able to handle those situations of potential stress, but because I was able to be coming from a more stable place, the way that others were needing or demanding, I could see what they respond to them rather than push against and try to control the situation, which we often might try and do.
Hello, thank you for having me today. I'm really looking forward to this experience. I hope that anyone watching can take from this what they need. They can learn a bit about what the session is like, see how it can help them, and how it's really helpful for like clearing the mind and just getting to know yourself more, and to know that even if you're stressed with kind of exams and life, there are coping mechanisms to that, and meditation is a really good one to help. But I'm sure you two know a lot more on the topic than me, and I'm really looking forward to learning more today. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, because it's so important, isn't it, to be able to bring your mind into a different space, and it gives a lot of confidence that often I think we're trying to get a certain feeling by changing something outside, but all these things are happening. Sometimes when we're studying, there are many things happening at the same time and we can't control them, and meditation allows us to get perspective, and actually it helps us do what we need to do, but with a happy feeling inside, rather than that we need to flog ourselves, push ourselves. So often I find when we're bringing this new, the spirit of playfulness comes in, and when you're doing something you enjoy, you actually do better. But that requires a mindset of play rather than more panic. And so I think meditation allows us to have that resting place, which we all need. Even when we're playing a game, you're not always on the pitch or on the field. So it's just so natural to take a mind break, to come off that play field of action. So it is a wonder that we haven't been taught this from an earlier age, but it's happening more now, which is great. But it's just simple tools to be able to bring your mind like above and beyond ordinary thoughts. Because lots of the time we're thinking in a cyclical way, which is not efficient. You know, we want also, time is limited, we want to think like in a way that gives us efficiency. So that's why if we can understand why cyclical thinking is happening, then we are on track to like being able to use our time really wisely, but also keep the lightness. So it's really nice to have this time to practice and learn a bit.
You know, it is nicely described, the play. You know, what happens in a play, there is a time you are on the field, but the player also knows his world beyond the field. That's what makes it a play. When he has place to step back, and his world itself is different, and as a result he is involved in this play, you know, but he sees it as extra. That is not central to him. It is, and when anyone sees something as extra, it becomes fun. So in the meditation that we practice, there is an attitude that this whole physical world, that includes the job and life and people, position, possessions, that world is not the only world. There is a world behind to step back. And from the perspective, from beyond, this physical world is extra. And when you see it as extra, it becomes play. And the nice psychology in a play, you work hard, you play to win, you have a high destination, but you also know how to fall and start again. The whole thing is done with lightness and with the energy of fun and energy of, you know, achievement. But at the same time, you are completely relaxed because it is extra. So this involves taking our mind to that dimension beyond and making that dimension important. So in our meditation, we are not trying to stop the mind. We don't see mind as a problem, but we give the mind a direction, you know, very clear destination, so that you are not just going there, but experiencing that as normal for you. That dimension is normal. And every moment here is a gift. And it changes, it comes, goes, but it is a gift.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really positive sounding. Like, I've never really heard of the word play used in this context, but it's a really beautiful way of seeing it. And I think especially when, for some people, hearing like meditation is a good thing to do, hearing it as something you have to do always sounds like a chore, but it really shouldn't be a chore. And it's really refreshing to hear it explained with that. The idea that it's a player in the game is really helpful to help me visualize it that way.
Yeah, they're like a hobby energy from the beginning, and then you want to do it. It's just like, even if it's a couple of minutes, but if it's, you're like clear what you're doing, and it will bring a new feeling inside, and you might want to do more, but it's like not forced, and you think of it fondly rather than something on the to-do list or something we feel guilty about, because that can happen too. It's like, oh, I know I should, and then it becomes another thing.
Yeah.
But playful. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the idea of having it as something positive to do for a few minutes, that can be fit into many people's lives, no matter how busy they are, no matter how many things you've got scheduled. A few minutes each day, a few fun minutes are possible. So, yeah.
Do you have any questions that come up?
how meditation is best to kind of incorporate into like a daily schedule if you are busy. Is it recommended to do at the end of the day, or is your mind more noisy in like your experience, or is the morning best, or like is there a recommended way of structuring this into someone's life who is just trying out meditation for the first time and doesn't have much experience with it maybe?
Morning time is the best, because our brain and mind is fresh, and so after a good night sleep, and once one is fresh, that is the time to create at least half an hour, if one can create, and use it in a very structured way. What exactly to do. There is a structure, and to follow that. Having said that, if someone practices even for 5 minutes, great 5 minutes, he will have the benefits of this for the rest of the day.
Okay.
It just creates momentum. You never forget some of the experiences you get. You never forget. It sort of helps you to come back to it whenever there is any situation.
I remember when I was quite new doing meditation, and it was, as Prashant said, it was probably 4 or 5 minutes in the morning, and I would never have thought that would have such a positive effect on the day, because it was like you touched the ground of feeling peaceful and secure inside, like something stable, and that kind of creates confidence, I think, emotionally. There's that place to come back to, psychologically as well. And I was teaching teenagers at the time, and it was just a busy, hectic day, normal teacher's day. But I remember I was actually approaching each situation totally differently. I noticed it because I was quite new, but now, like after a while, it just becomes more normal, more natural. But it was so wonderful to see how I was able to handle those situations of potential stress, but because I was able to be coming from a more stable place, the way that others were needing or demanding, I could see what they respond to them rather than push against and try to control the situation, which we often might try and do. And that gave more confidence to them. They could sense that I was more relaxed, things just flowed more easily, and I could also then be more clear about when to say, okay, now is time for this, like more clear in myself rather than more emotional. So also, if you do start our meditations in the morning, like create some kind of diary to acknowledge, write down what you're doing, because you will then see clearly after, say, a week of how much it's creating, for this one's experience, like emotional stability, and that encourages you to do it more, because you might not realise at the time, but it has a big effect on your whole day.
Okay. So I guess being more aware of your emotions as well helps you realise how to control them. Just almost like being able to see things with a new perspective that you might not have before, to know when you're not in control and not managing the emotions as well.
Yeah, it opens up a lot more awareness, and okay, you might get a feeling come, but it doesn't have to come out into your words. You sort of sense, okay, I've made this made me feel a certain way. You can always write it down, acknowledge it, but then you get more confidence in yourself. You're able to handle those things, and then in time, you can remain completely peaceful because you're building that inner strength. So you're not, reacting, but like responding, and that just saves your energy more and more.
Yeah. Writing things down sounds like a really good idea. I've never actually heard that one before, about, especially when starting out, being able to write down exactly what you notice is going on, because for everyone, they can do that on a smartphone, they can do it in a journal. Like, it is something that's very possible, no matter how busy you might be.
Yeah.
It sounds like a really good idea.
And I think during the day, if we call it like a traffic control, but it's like 1 minute, say in between you might be in the library for 2 hours, but if you create a minute after 1 hour to just take a mind break and bring your mind, with meditation guidance, you get the feeling of what to do in that minute, but allow yourself that time. You don't have to think of your task at hand, and then you can more clearly see what to do after that as a consequence. So just like if you've gone away gone for a walk or gone away for a few hours or the weekend, your mind is clearer, you can prioritize. So that happens, we can do that even from a minute's mind break. And like I remember one student saying, okay, it was 9 at night, he took a break, and then he realized it's not a good idea to have that fourth coffee and keep pressing on. I need to just let myself relax and then have a good sleep, and I'll continue in the morning. Otherwise, if you're just like a hamster wheel going, you just push, and actually the quality is not so good for what we're doing and for our mind. So.
Yeah, and it is important taking care of ourselves, no matter how important exams or like for people working as well, like no matter how important that seems, taking care of ourselves and our mental state is really important.
Yeah. Definitely, it's like keeping the mind, which is like our best asset, and intellect really in good state.
Do some people keep their eyes open and look out to meditate, or do most people shut their eyes?
It can be either. I don't close the eyes most of the time, but one can close the eyes also. So right now we'll create some practice. It will be maybe 2 minutes, 4 minutes, just a concept, and then we'll create another practice of 4 steps practice. Okay. So, we will be using the term invisible traveler. We use the word, and there is the dimension beyond, that is important part for the meditation, and that this world is extra, that's why it is a play. This attitude becomes easy. One step for this is to see the perspective of a guest. Guest always is not trapped in a place. Guest is having freedom. Guest experiences freedom. Guest knows the reality beyond. That's why guest has a different perspective. He enjoys more. He is not worried about the living, at least, whereas others have got some other concerns of losing and missing, that they are into other mind. So we'll play with this attitude of a guest. Right now we are in this room and in this house. We know we are guests here. We are very much involved. We are using things in this place, and at the same time there is no bondage anywhere. We know we don't own anything here, and so we don't lose anything. We experience the lightness of a guest. We experience freedom of a guest. And we experience the security of a guest. You've got nothing to lose. We remind ourselves that we are guests on this planet. We see the image of the invisible traveler. He is the guest on this planet. And being a guest, he doesn't own anything on this planet, and so he doesn't lose anything. Being a guest, he doesn't own anyone else, on this planet, and so he doesn't lose anyone. The invisible traveler doesn't own a single atom on this planet, doesn't own anything, not even a planet atom. And so he has got nothing to lose. He experiences that complete freedom. He experiences the total lightness of our guest. He experiences that freedom of our guest. He experiences the total security of our guest. He finds every moment here is a gift. He experiences the sense of appreciation of our guest. And he experiences the gratitude of our guest. Just this perspective from beyond, perspective of the invisible traveler, gives us the experience of richness of the heart and richness of the head. Whilst being involved in this world, this moment. Thank you.
How did you find your concentration?
Yeah, I think it was really helpful to have the voice to focus on. Every time I found my mind wander, and it was nice to come back to focus on the voice, and the fact that there was a lot of deep meaning there also helped me focus, I think. And yeah, the concept of being a guest is really freeing to hear about. And yeah, no, thank you, that was really nice.
And people will be able to play it over again since it is a recording. And
yeah, I hope that helped anyone watching.
At some point we can take another longer meditation with the 4 steps, but maybe a little discussion before that. That attitude of a guest, you are able to relate to that.
Yeah, I think it's a nice image to be able to, because I think some of the concepts can be quite hard to grasp, but I guess everyone kind of understands those sort of feelings. It's very close to home, and it was, for me at least, really easy to get my head around.
Yes.
That kind of less things weighing you down, more enjoying your time somewhere as well.
Go away for the weekend, and there's such a clear relationship you have with the place, and you come with like maybe a wheelie trolley and you unpack, and so happy to be there, and every moment is like so special. You sort of take in every scene, and it's a good feeling, but also I quite like leaving because there's a clear relationship with the host, or with the room, or with the venue, and it's something nice about leaving it how you found it, and then there's like a graceful exchange often, because people like having guests because they bring newness and they bring lightness, and then there's an onward journey. So the whole thing, as you say, it's associated with with a good time, and to see it at a different level, that we have an option to bring that into our thoughts. Then appreciation is something that's in context rather than I mean, appreciation, gratitude diary is very good, but sometimes if we have context to it, then it might go even deeper, and activate that view also, but realize why. It's because actually this is a gift, this is extra, if we take that deeply and reflect on it. Yeah. But it means we can also look after things too. It's not that we're sort of
Trustee, guest and a trustee.
Trustee is something which we can sometimes feel we look after things even better as a trustee. So, custodian of everything is nice as well. It's a balance and practical.
Yeah. With the word guest, there's sometimes an element of just receiving everything, but it's like being grateful as well in the process and taking care of everything.
If you're in someone's house, it's more fun doing the washing up than in your own. So you can just look at sooner, you can enjoy doing those things when you're a guest as well. You might even do more.
Yeah, because it's not a heavy obligation or chore is again associated with it.
Yeah.
I often ask, who enjoys Cambridge most? Local people or tourists? And tourists are taking photographs of everything. They take photograph of the porters and little stones, everything. They are taking photographs because they are in that space of a guest. And when they are in that space, same world, but energy of fun comes, lightness, and deep inside they know they got nothing to lose. That is what there is. Local people are, bogged down by their weight, bondages. I see one person walking down here, one with a bicycle. Once a week he comes on Saturday mornings, and on his eyes, he's looking at everything with his. I say, what is he seeing? Same world, but he is sort of you can see in his eyes like a wonder, like a guest, guest perspective is like this. So here, this world, as it is offered to us, cloud, trees, stones, it is a miracle that is in front of us. And if we just step back, that is, just come into that higher perspective, then you are seeing this moment. It can be human beings, and it can be birds, it can be nothing. But you are seeing that moment as a gift and as a miracle, with the wonder, even for a few seconds or minutes, that creates in you some, that higher energy that lasts, even though you may not be having that attention for the whole hour. You come into that space for 1 minute. It keeps you going for the rest of the hour. Many, many things happen. Life is, different things come, in this. But you are able to see from that higher perspective, and you deal with it.
It's an important point, isn't it? Feelings like that, they last. And I don't know what the medical, is it the hormones, stress hormones? It's like, even in studies they're showing that the epinephrine is less for like an hour.
Epinephrine.
Yeah. Epinephrine. And so it's like we can actually measure those things, and the effect it's having on the body and the mind. So it's good to realise even these short practices, and that's like Herbert Benson, who's studying 4 minutes, people doing a focused practice to come out of ordinary thoughts with. But here we're replacing them with something which we can easily come back to and easily understand. So that's quite powerful.
Yeah.
Potential.
Yeah, I think that images and the way of thinking, the concepts just now as well are really, really helpful because they're so memorable to bring my mind back to if I do a practice and just think back on those thoughts. And there's so much to unpack with all the sort of wording as well, that it's good to reflect on that and help probably prevents my mind wandering as much as it would otherwise, because otherwise I'm sat there telling myself meditate.
Yeah. I also use writing sometimes as a process to focus, like just unpacking, as you mentioned, that guest view. What is the feeling of the guest? What is the perspective? And that forces also a certain focus because it's an involvement. And you might not feel that much when you start, but just by giving the attention to it, it creates, has for me, like a shift in feeling, and that's worth acknowledging because you've not had to do anything, not been anywhere, but already feelings have changed, and that's very indicative of what we can do within, just by changing our view.
Yeah.
And in dwelling, if it's just one word, sometimes to acknowledge if it creates a special resonance or a sort of a certain peace that is staying with you, like let yourself sit with that for a while, so let it be natural. So this meditation starts with ideas but then leads to a meditation in a more natural way.
We can create another short meditation. I was thinking we'll create a meditation with another image of just a traveler rather than the 4 steps. In the next follow-up session, we'll do the full part.
Up to.
So in this image, still the aim is stepping back, that is the aim. We are seeing the perspective of a traveler. Traveler always likes to remain light. Traveler knows how to let go. He doesn't carry unnecessary burdens. A traveler may visit a place. He may like the place, like the people, but he doesn't plan to carry that place with him. He knows to let go, free to appreciate the next place. We all are travelers. We arrived here traveling. We are also travelers through time. We have been through different experiences and we have reached here, this moment. A sensible traveler knows how to let go. A sensible traveler remains free from the word my to the temporary things on his way. We also understand the value to let go of the past that is gone and we are here now. Mind is free to appreciate this moment, the richness of this moment, and the wonder of this moment. Traveler is free to look forward to the future. Traveler always remains light, always carefree. Full of appreciation and experiences the richness of life. Thank you.
It's giving nice food for thought.
Yeah, no, it's just, I really like the idea of the wonder, and it's just contemplating on how much I've been enjoying each moment, which I don't think I have, properly taking in everything and being grateful for it. And yeah, I think maybe being a bit too attached to everything as well. Like the idea that the traveller is more light and free, really, yeah, it makes me reflect a lot on my own life. It's yeah, very, very thoughtful, yeah.
It's an amazing thing to have a option to realise that we can approach things, situations from internal fullness. So with traveller there is something behind they already have, like some stability, a sense of being at home, like with themselves, and then you aren't asking for those situations to provide to fulfill one's needs. And when this world is unpredictable, if I haven't felt full and then I come into those things, then that's why we're getting the cyclical thoughts. It's like coming from insecurity, and that's why we get attached, because we're reacting to the insecurity. So it's so nice to see that and not feel guilty if we do feel, getting attached, because it's a reaction from something. So the internal fullness, internal peace, and seeing that view and realizing, as that from beyond there is an intrinsic, the self is really knows peace, knows security, knows sense of belonging, and that we're reawakening that being that we are, actually. And because we can relate to others better, I think, from that. We sort of understand what's happening for others, so we kind of we're more patient, more understanding, because we're all on a journey. We each one are travellers. And so it helps to realise and give the benefit of the doubt. So your peace, just in your silence, you might not need to say something, but just your presence of mind and your own reflection can help them, because they get some kind of signal that it doesn't have to be where we're just slave to circumstance. So it has an effect on others as well.
Yeah, I love how, at least to me personally, I love how positive the word sounds, like a traveller, like just enjoying, taking in, and meeting people along the way. And yeah, I really like the outlook it provides on life.
It's like a train of life. Everyone has different stations they come in and they meet and then they have like onward journey or whatever, but it's more natural. And people can be very friendly in some countries at least. Not so much here, but but it's like a nice space.
Yeah, traveler has a resilience. Someone comes, someone goes. They don't lose anyone, because they know they don't want to cling to anyone. They know the reality. So also in this life, in a larger life, the traveler, he knows the bigger map, and so someone will be living, and they are fellow travelers, fellow passengers, and so someone dies. He is not shocked, because he knows that is the way it is. Someone is introspective, doesn't want to talk. That is the way some passengers are. Some are lighter. It is so one who is traveler, as you said, he knows the miracle. It is he is more seeing from beyond, and he sees the wonder and variety in it. That is the way it is. Otherwise, we can get attached to our idea of how everyone should be, and that spoils the way things are. If I go to watch a drama and there is a joker, then I enjoy the joker. If I have an idea how he should be behaving, then I lose the fun.
It really is. It's really good food for thought. And I think having an opportunity, or making an opportunity as well, to reflect on these sort of thoughts every day, I can see how I would be able to be aware of it in the background every day and just remind myself of this outlook while doing my everyday life. So
Yeah,
I'm definitely going to incorporate these thoughts into my own meditations, I think.
that function of awareness is very interesting, because we know we're in Cambridge, we know what's happening. I don't have to have a chant about it, but it's there, so we can also grow in this awareness that the background is for travellers, and meditation is just reminding and re-emerging the feeling. And so we don't have mantra or anything in the meditation, it's more just bringing the thought to the front of the mind. Because, in time we might be like in a lab or doing, very involved. So at that point it's not emerged in my mind that I'm in Cambridge, I'm involved. But as soon as I finish that, you're fully aware and you're orientated. So we're just orientating ourselves. But it just so happens that that brings the best quality of inner life, because then that backdrop is of peace, security, and a sense of belonging, and then this becomes, the field of action, play. So you're just, in a way, becoming more clear.
Yeah, and that, always knowing, not necessarily having to say you're in Cambridge all the time, but it's in there, and you know where you are, you know where you're positioned. Yeah, it's really nice. Thank you. I feel like I've learned a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I'm getting very contemplative.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
You grasp the ideas, and as you said, every day, if there is just one reminder and another angle of it, it gathers momentum. You sort of imbibe it. It becomes part of you. We use the word upward spiral. Something is moving up.
It's interesting, that's why I find writing helps, because now and then, because sometimes you're not maybe working on being able to tolerate situations or patience, but those things come as a natural consequence of this upward spiral. It's like, some things which cause stress before, you notice you're approaching with more inner stillness. So that's why it's like working on the seed. Sometimes we might think we need to fix lots of things, but this seed of coming back to this perspective, it creates peace, security. I'm less likely to want to run around to fulfill, need, like, I need to feel full by shopping or social media. I mean, nothing wrong with those things, but if I don't have that desperation that I need those things, then life becomes simpler as well. You have more time, mind is more stable. So, it has a big effect. So it helps, because part of us resists. I don't have time. But actually this creates time. It actually creates space. So simplifies your life a bit.
Yeah, that's a really important thing to consider when starting out, I think, is not seeing it as something that will sap away, take away your time, but something that's going to contribute.
And also giving it time, because we have the gadgets and everything give us a feeling. We press a button and we get a result. So these are like experiments, meditation experiments, and they give results, but we also need to try things, how they feel, and giving that little space, like a gardener will plant the seed, and a little bit of watering attention on these certain thoughts that will create fruit, but that also has a little process of taking that time and observing, and you learn a lot about yourself. And
definitely. And probably more rewarding than something instantaneous would be as well.
yes.
Thank you so much. It's been really rewarding, and I hope that everyone watching as well can take from this what has resonated with them, and all the sort of different concepts that are really good things to reflect on for everyone in their own lives, and anyone going through a tough time, or even if they're not going through a tough time, just something that can help them. And try out meditation. It's really good.
Yeah, and it's great what you're doing to bring what you've taken benefit from, making it easily available and relatable.
Yeah, I just think for people watching, even if they're scared to try out meditation themselves, taking the time to even watch videos like this in the evening to relax before bed after work and studying, just taking that time to clear their mind a bit is really important for mental health, and very passionate about that. So yeah.